The 1998 NBA lockout wasn't just about money. It was about control, power, and the future of the league. When people talk about the 1998-99 lockout, they usually say, "Oh yeah, the season was shortened," right? But what they don't tell you is just how deep the conflict ran. Behind closed doors, owners were panicking, players were furious, and the very structure of the modern NBA was on the line. This wasn't just a labor dispute. It was a battle that exposed cracks in the foundation of professional basketball. So what really happened during the NBA's longest and most disruptive work stoppage? Why did the season almost disappear completely? And what are the parts of the story no one ever talks about? Let's break down the full story of the 1998 NBA lockout and what they don't tell you. It's the summer of 1998. Michael Jordan had just won his 6th championship with the Chicago Bulls. The iconic last shot against the Utah Jazz had barely faded from memory. Fans were still celebrating one of the most legendary finals runs in NBA history. But behind the scenes, the NBA was on the verge of chaos. Owners and players had been butting heads for years over one key issue: how to split the money. Revenues were going up, TV deals were booming, ticket prices were climbing. But owners claimed they were losing money. Yes, losing money despite all that. Their solution? Restructure the system entirely, and that's where everything started to unravel. NBA team owners wanted to rein in player salaries, especially contracts for role players and young talent. They believed the league's salary system was spiraling out of control. Just a few years earlier, in 1996, the Minnesota Timberwolves had signed 20-year-old Kevin Garnett to a 6-year, $126 million extension. That deal terrified owners. They felt like young players, unproven and barely out of high school, were getting superstar money. So owners pushed hard for a hard salary cap and maximum player salaries, a way to limit how much any one player could earn, no matter how good they were. To the players, this wasn't just about money, it was about respect, about autonomy, about freedom to negotiate their worth, and about not being punished for the league's poor spending decisions. On the other side was the NBA Players Association, led by veteran union boss Billy Hunter and supported by stars like Patrick Ewing and Alonzo Mourning. The players weren't opposed to compromise, but they refused to accept caps that would limit their individual earning potential. They believed if the league was making more money, they should too, especially since they were the product. They also wanted better protection for veterans and role players. One of the biggest concerns? The rookie salary scale. Owners wanted to pay new players less, but the union feared this would hurt young talent and give teams too much control. So with no agreement in sight and both sides digging in, the owners voted unanimously on June 30th, 1998 to lock out the players. That decision stopped everything. No trades, no free agency, no summer league, no training camp, no games. The NBA was officially on pause. At first, fans didn't panic. It was summer. No one had missed a game yet. But as the weeks rolled on and talk stalled, reality set in. On October 13th, 1998, the league made it official. The first 2 weeks of the regular season were canceled. And then more. And more. By December, nearly half the season had vanished, and the two sides still hadn't agreed on anything. NBA players started appearing in pickup games. Others went overseas to stay in shape or make extra cash. Some even explored side businesses, acting roles, or endorsements just to survive financially. Meanwhile, owners, especially those from smaller market teams, started to feel the pressure. No games meant no ticket sales, no concessions, no merchandise. TV contracts were on the line, but no one wanted to blink first. Here's what most people don't know about the 1998 lockout. It wasn't just about the big stars. Yes, the media focused on players like Shaq and Kobe, but the people most affected were the role players, the guys making league minimums, on short-term deals, trying to pay rent. The lockout exposed how financially vulnerable many players were, despite the public image of NBA wealth. Some owners wanted the season canceled. Yup, a handful of hardline owners were reportedly fine with losing the entire 1998-99 season. Why? Because they believed the longer they held out, the more desperate players would become, and the better deal they'd eventually get. Players were divided. Not all players supported the union's stance. Some just wanted to play. Some were financially hurting. There were rumors of secret phone calls, tension in union meetings, and frustration about how long the lockout was dragging on. Jordan almost stepped in. Even though MJ had retired after the '98 finals, he was still the most powerful voice in basketball. At one point, he reportedly told owners, "If you can't make money with the Chicago Bulls, you should sell the team." That line hit hard but didn't end the lockout. The public didn't see these battles, but inside the boardrooms and behind the press conferences, the league was on the edge of collapse. After 6 long months, and with the pressure mounting from broadcasters, sponsors, and fans, the two sides finally caved. On January 6, 1999, the NBA and the Players Association reached a deal. Here's what it included: a maximum salary for players based on years of experience, a rookie pay scale with limited earnings for first-round picks, a luxury tax system which penalized teams that spent above a certain threshold, continued guaranteed contracts, which was a win for the players. The deal was far from perfect, but it was enough to save what was left of the season. The league rushed to put together a 50-game schedule, the shortest season in NBA history. There was no All-Star game. Teams had brutal, compact schedules, and training camp lasted just a few weeks. But basketball was back, and for a moment, fans could breathe again. The 1998-99 season began on February 5th, 1999. Some players showed up out of shape. Others came back injured. The product on the floor wasn't always pretty, but the season gave us some unforgettable moments. A scrappy 8th-seeded New York Knicks team made it all the way to the finals. The San Antonio Spurs, led by Tim Duncan and David Robinson, won their first ever championship. A new generation of stars like Allen Iverson, Vince Carter, and Dirk Nowitzki began to rise. But the lockout left a scar. Trust between players and owners had been damaged. The tension never fully faded, and the risk of future lockouts became very real. The 1998 NBA lockout wasn't just about CBA terms or missed games. It was about who controls the league, the players who drive it, or the owners who fund it. What they don't tell you is how close the league came to a complete shutdown, or how many players struggled quietly, or how even the league's most powerful voices like Jordan couldn't fix it with a phone call. The lockout reshaped the NBA. It led to the salary structure we have today. It laid the foundation for the modern cap system, and it showed everyone, fans, media, and players, that the business side of basketball can be just as brutal as the game itself. And that's the full breakdown of the 1998 NBA lockout and what they don't tell you about it. If you found this story interesting, don't forget to hit like and subscribe. Drop your thoughts in the comments. Were the players right to fight the cap? Did the owners push too hard? And could this kind of lockout happen again? Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.